We built a Pringles can mortar.
Right.
It sort of lightly blew up.
Yeah, it blew up. It was really loud and scary, and I think we got it solved. I've broken it again. My frustration has gotten past my paranoia threshold. Where did that one go?
I don't know.
Yes! Woo!
Hey, Brandt Hughes here. I have a couple of just super quick notes right before we start the video. One, don't replicate this experiment unless you can confidently do so safely. Now, this applies to most of our videos, but in this particular case, we're talking about the safe handling of methanol and other combustible volatile fluids, and just generally unpredictable combustions. Use your brain, use your noggin, know your limits. Two, during the build segments, you might notice that I'm walking around like a dummy holding this thing, doing some of this motion, and you'll never see this perspective. Why? Because the GoPro hard locked and didn't save the file to the memory card. I assure you it was very fun and energetic, but we had another camera rolling. Three, this video is not sponsored, so I just wanted to quickly let you know that we have a new shirt in the shop.
Are you sure we just can't have me do this? It seems like money in the bank. It seems like people are gonna see this and they're gonna say, I don't know what this video game idle animation is, but I'm here for it. New t-shirts available, designs by Ryer Appeldoorn. They're available at scamstuff.com. That's gear for the modern rogue. All right, Ryer, I don't wanna say that we teased almost to an explosive climax of the last episode. but it seems like there's more to the story of the Pringles canned tennis ball launcher.
Yes, I was very frustrated that it wasn't working, and so I did a little bit of thinking and a little bit of tinkering.
Yeah.
And I think we got it solved.
Okay.
Want me to walk you through everything we did?
Was it 2 bottle caps worth of fuel?
That was part of it.
We built a Pringles can mortar.
Right.
It sort of lightly blew up.
Yeah, it blew up. It was really loud and scary, and it kind of popped our chamber off the bottom. And normally it sends a tennis ball flying with very little problem, so I think we're having some sort of combustion issue. Okay, so there is definitely a problem. So if you look, there's our blast chamber. We blew that right off. I think it's too long, and I think it's a little too crooked, which means that if we're getting any thrust, the tennis ball is probably bouncing around in all of this and then getting stuck and letting all the gases past it since we don't have a perfect seal. And I don't think we have any controlled expansion of our gases. I don't think we have any controlled combustion. I think the hole that the tennis ball that we drilled for, I think that's too big. So I was baffled as to why it wasn't working, because it should be fairly simple, right?
Sure, sure.
And then I realized that I had forgotten something very important.
Uh-oh.
Baffles.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Most mortars have sort of a series of rings that control the flow of the expanding gases when you combust the fuel inside. They also help atomize the fuel a little bit better.
Yeah.
And they also trap the fuel and finally direct that explosion into
So you're
propulsive
talking
force.
about actual, so we know that surface area matters, and that much like a radiator, you want to have things radiating to maximize surface area. So baffles essentially allow the fuel to atomize better?
Well, yeah, so that's part of it. They allow the fuel to atomize a little bit better, but they also, more importantly, direct the flow of our explosion, right?
Yeah.
So we got that big...
How do they direct? Well, where are they? Maybe I'm picturing them in the wrong spot.
So when we built the thing, we made one big chamber for our fuel, right?
Yeah.
And when that lit, that explosion could go in all directions. The explosion's a sphere shape, right?
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, it blasted out the back of it, which is something we didn't even think about.
No, and when I took the one that we built apart,
yeah,
it was totally blown apart. There was nothing left, right? A baffle is a ring with a hole in it. And so what it does is you ignite your fuel in here, you get that big explosion.
Yeah.
But then it directs those expanding vapors.
Got it. So it all comes into this one, And now this guy, minding his own business, I am at 1 atmosphere of pressure. Suddenly he goes to, I'm at a lot of atmospheres of pressure. What does he want to do? He don't want to push back here because this guy's already equalized. He's like, I'm also under a lot of pressure. And so the two of them conspire, like, you know what we could do? We could pass the buck, get out of here. And then this tennis ball said, I was just minding my own business.
Yep.
And suddenly is in the sky.
You got it exactly right. Yeah, so we're directing the flow of the explosion, making sure we're getting a full combustion of everything, and so that was a big help.
Yeah.
So I built one that had...
Now, this wasn't in the design for the kids' book, though, was it?
Maybe. So I'm still going to use a hole saw. And the thing to do with these is slow and steady. Just take it easy. It's not going to be great, but... Bada bing. And I forgot to take the chips out. That's step one, just like last time. And I'm gonna do that again. I've also read about this, is that you can get poster tubes that are a much even closer diameter to a tennis ball than the chip tubes are. But the chip tubes have like a wax coating on the inside to keep the grease from leaking out. And that also helps keep the cardboard from getting saturated with your liquid fuel. Oh. Helps preserve integrity. Quick little aside. Doritos are great for if you're in like a emergency situation where you need to light a fire because they burn so well. I wonder if Pringles also burn well. They do, look at that. I thought that'd be cool. It probably looks stupid and it hurt. Then there were a couple other things I noticed. Barrel was too long. We put 4 tubes together.
Yeah. Because
the tennis ball is not an exact fit, it could kind of bounce around in there.
Yeah.
So if it got lodged somewhere,
wasted energy the whole way around.
Exactly.
Got it.
We went with a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 parts of our combustion chamber, 1 part barrel, just enough to give it a little bit of acceleration. And instead of cutting the bottoms off like we did last time, I'm gonna stack them like this, which is gonna make our stacking a lot easier because they're gonna kind of naturally nest. It's gonna leave that metal ring in, which is gonna give us a little extra strength that we need. And should make everything a lot easier, make everyone happier. I'm also gonna use gaff tape this time. Gaff tape is a little bit thinner than duct tape, which will hopefully make getting it in easier, because I think even though we wanted a good seal with our PVC pipe, having to force it in like we did and grease it up with WD-40 and everything, I don't think that did any favors to the structural integrity of our build.
Sure.
So because this is much shorter and I still want to have a little bit of protection, I am going to cut down the pipe to be the length of our thing. Okay, just a little potential safety nose. Whenever you're cutting PVC with a power tool like that, especially a rotating blade, you want to take it slow because polyvinyl chloride is a very brittle plastic and you can make it explode.
We want our stuff to explode on command, not by accident.
Right. Oh, look at that. That's gonna be great. When we inevitably get that bus running and we mount our homemade mortars to it, we'll have a little bit of dampening, so we won't shake the whole thing when it goes off, because the bubble wrap will provide shock absorption.
Wow, really thinking ahead.
Way ahead. Another problem I noticed was our fuse ignition. It started with me thinking, I don't think there's enough room with that tiny hole.
That's not true. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, so it started with that,
yeah.
Right? The fuse was clearly going in, nothing was igniting, and I thought what might be a little bit more useful is if that hole was slightly larger, so that way we could get a little bit of combustion here, and that could direct the explosion in.
Okay.
That wasn't the case. I'm going to do a bigger hole for the fuse. That's a little better. So that's the hole from my test one that I did. I'm just gonna follow that as my guide. All right, great. So now, when we put our little fuses in there, we've got lots of room, so that way, hopefully, we'll get a little bit of that vapor coming out, and that'll mean the fuse can ignite that up here, and that'll help sort of guide the combustion through our tube. Oh, the other thing was I was thinking about fuel, and we were dumping the fuel in there and then almost immediately lighting it. And I think what we actually want to do is we want to dump the fuel in there, put the tennis ball in to seal the end, shake it around a bit, and then because we're using a volatile alcohol, as long as the tennis ball is trapping stuff in there, we can let it sort of seal the end and expand a little, let it off gas inside the chamber a bit. I think that'll be very helpful. All right, so I'm gonna put the tennis ball in, and I'm gonna use this little rod to hold the tennis ball against the baffle, hopefully making a bit of a seal. And then I can also kind of give a little motion.
Yeah, bring it around town.
Bring it around town. Check, yes, we still have a little bit of fluid in there, which is good, actually. Safety first. Okay, let's go, let's do it. Are you ready, Brandt?
Ready!
As you'll ever be, right?
Yep.
Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Well, you wanna do it again? Proof of concept, that worked, right?
Sure,
Let's do it one more time.
Well, I'll definitely say this much. It performed better than last time.
Ready?
Ready!
Damn! Ready?
Ready.
Oh, wait. I'm not. Really? Everything wants to fight Ryer. Here we go. I know it works. Use my brain, I know it works. Why isn't it working now? I think maybe some of the trouble is actually coming from the fuse. See? Yeah, see, look. See what just fell out of there? Look at that. That's a hunk of fuse that looks like it burned out as soon as it went into the cannon. So I think the fuse is not igniting. Actually be curious to see what happens. Yeah, see? So that fuse, which we've seen light, has been sitting in the bottom of that cannon, and it's saturated with fuel. There it goes. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know if you can see in there, but there's even other chunks of fuse in the bottom. So, I think I know what that means I have to do. I think we can't rely on the fuse to light the cannon. I think that's part of our problem. So I have to light it by hand.
Okay. How do you feel about that?
Well, you know what? In the kids' book, it says to light it by hand.
Oh, okay.
Surely I have the intelligence of a child and the acumen of a child. Christ, okay.
They can't just lie in a book, Ryer.
No, they can't. You're right. Books are for knowledge. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh. Oh. So it was definitely on fire, but it worked.
It did work.
We put the fuse hole at the bottom.
Yeah.
And we put all that fuel in. The
Yeah.
liquid fuel, which doesn't want to combust, was
Right.
saturating our fuse and not igniting.
Got
So
it.
our fuse is getting to right here and then just going out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In fact, we had, when we took apart one of the tennis ball mortars, there were bits of unburnt fuse, like half unburnt fuses in the bottom.
Ironically, because of the fuel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I put a bigger hole in, I put the hole on the side of the canister, or the combustion chamber. Still, we weren't getting good ignition. And I think what was happening was the heat of that fuse was just not around long enough to do anything good. And so I took a Torbrenner and just held it to the end. And it went off every time.
Yeah. Okay. So the Torbrenner probably warmed the air around here. You want to get to the point where you have enough. Again, the fire triangle is heat. You have to have residual heat of a certain temperature, and oxygen and fuel. So by warming everything up, you got enough of a heat, and then at this point, you are able to get that chain reaction. It's a little bit like having a bit of tinder and kindling so that you can ignite the entire campfire.
So all of those got us consistent ignitions. It also helped by putting 2 capfuls of fuel in, having a little bit extra. But because we were using the methanol, it's not as sensitive to fuel-air ratio for ignition as other
because
ignition
it's
sources.
so volatile, yeah.
Exactly. So put a little extra in there, and then close it off with a tennis ball, let it atomize a bit, and we were getting consistent ignition. Does that look cool?
A little bit.
The other day, Brian was going on and on about too much fuel, not enough air. I think that might be our problem now.
Okay.
I'm also going to use wadding this time, just to make sure we're not losing any fuel to air, whatever. Just make sure we're sealed. Ready?
Ready.
But we're getting more consistent results, right?
Yeah.
This time's for all the money. No money. I've broken it again. I have one last idea, and then we'll call it for the night.
Okay.
This is the one that I did earlier. It doesn't have that outer shell, but at this point, my frustration has gotten past my paranoia threshold. And the only reason I'm mixing these fuels is because for some reason I did it earlier today and it worked really well, really well. Okay, Brandt, this is the one, right?
Yep.
Can you feel it?
100%.
100%. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Not bad, right? That worked.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't see where it went because it's dark. How far did it go?
Double, triple the distance maybe of the last one?
Oh, that's not very far. But that worked. Yeah, you're right. It didn't go far at all. Okay. All right, now I want to do it one more time.
Okay.
Three, 2, 1. Where did that one go?
I don't know.
Yes! Woo! Yes! Okay, that was a good one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
tomorrow we'll go over that with Brian, and we'll be like, here's everything that happened, here's what I did, and if it doesn't work tomorrow, I don't care because we just did it, right?
We did.
It definitely worked. It's gonna work tomorrow.
We ready to try it?
Yep. So this is the new one.
Ooh, compact.
Yeah, it's much smaller, and I also went without the PVC pipe on the outside
Yeah.
because it was just adding another vector of things not igniting. Want to go launch this thing?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so what, 2 capfuls we decided? Oh, interesting. So you're, the baffling, in theory, I'd be worried about this shrapnel.
You know, we cut the metal bottoms off originally.
Yeah.
We left all those in place, so it's
Yeah.
also much more structurally sound.
Okay, cool.
One of the tricks is with all the extra baffling,
Yeah,
you want to get that fuel to the bottom, so it's kind of tricky to pour the
got it.
fuel right down the center.
Yeah, you don't want it running down the sides. A 1 capful. A 2 capfuls.
And just like that. Okay, I'm also gonna put the wadding in because we wanna make sure that all of those...
Yep, that we get a good seal. Do you want me to tamp it down?
Yeah, go ahead. That's good. Okay, are you ready, Brian?
Yeah, and you said just hold it there?
Yeah, just hold it to that hole in the back. Whenever you're ready, Brian.
All right. Wow!
There it goes.
Wow! Wowie, wow, wow. I didn't even see it.
Yeah, it went way out there.
Let's do it again.
Okay.
Are we worried about the integrity of it?
Not right now, it looks good to me.
Okay.
I don't see any problems.
So we probably get another one?
The other nice thing about this, it's much easier to get the fumes out.
Yes, because of course that we want the fuel air mixture to be proper. There we go. All the way down. Seal this up.
There we go.
All right, this time.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Woo! Ha ha! Wow.
Pretty good, right?
That is pretty good, and it is the right amount of outrageous. Here we go, take a look. Boy, this being a cold day, you can really tell that it's taking a moment to warm up.
And the wind blowing around.
In slow motion, we see you get bored of waiting.
Yeah, getting patient. There it goes.
Oh, look at that. Oh, I lost it for a second, but there you go.
Look
You
at
can
it
see
go.
it. It just goes to the moon. God, that's amazing. All right. All right, I rescind all past judgment. Your idea is brilliant, it's amazing, and it's good. And actually, on the smaller scale, it felt a lot less dangerous this time.
It felt a lot less. Well, it also didn't, explode.
Yeah. I guess the only modification I may have made is reinforced tape around here because, like, that seal, had it broken, I could picture this shrapnelizing.
Flying off,
Yeah.
yep.
So, but outside of that, this really could be a parent and kid. Oh, look at all that fuel in there. This really could be like a Sunday afternoon project, I think.
Yeah, as long as you...
Should put it in a kid's book.
Not a bad idea.
This video is supported in part by viewers like you at patreon.com/modernrogue. If you like this video, you might be interested to see the unedited footage presented in chronological order. It's called the First Pass Edit, and it is available to patrons right now.
Maybe I should come over here so you can see what I'm doing.
Yeah, sure. Snug.
Like a glove. Little Jim Carrey reference.
Being puppeteered sort of vibe going right now.
You know, a lot of people worry about being puppeteered, but they're just puppets.